Every time you warm up last night's dinner, you're probably testing it the same way. Does it look hot enough? Does it steam? If the answer is yes, you assume it's safe. That single assumption is one of the most common blind spots in the modern kitchen, and it may be quietly shaping your health in ways that take years to show up. Here's a number worth sitting with for a moment. A large share of cancer cases worldwide are now linked, at least in part, to dietary patterns. Not just what we eat, but how we prepare, store, and reheat it. Major health organizations, including the World Health Organization, have pointed to diet as one of the most significant, modifiable risk factors we have, right alongside tobacco use. And yet almost nobody talks about what actually happens to food the second time it's heated. There's no smell that warns you, no taste that changes dramatically. The chemistry is invisible, but it is real, and it's happening inside your refrigerator right now. I'm Dr. Michael Chen, and this is Healthy Aging Insights. For more than 15 years, I've focused my practice on preventive medicine and lifestyle science, helping people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond protect the years ahead of them, not just treat what's already gone wrong. And today I want to walk you through 4 foods that are very likely in your fridge right now, foods that undergo real documented chemical changes when they're reheated. I'll explain exactly what's happening at a biological level, and more importantly, what you can do about it starting tonight. Stay with me through all 4, because the last one on this list is something almost every health-conscious adult eats regularly, fully convinced it's one of the safest choices they make all week. That confidence deserves a second look. Before we go further, I want to be clear about what this video is and what it isn't. This isn't about a stomach ache or a bad case of food poisoning. What we're talking about is something slower and quieter, the gradual accumulation of certain compounds in your body, month after month, meal after meal. And that matters more, not less, the older we get. As we age, our cells naturally accumulate more oxidative stress, our repair mechanisms slow down slightly, and our margin for absorbing extra chemical burden narrows. Cancer isn't triggered by one dinner. It develops over years, sometimes decades, through a slow buildup of cellular damage, and some of the raw materials for that damage don't come from the air we breathe or products we use. They can come from our own kitchens. Several of the compounds we're going to discuss today have been formally reviewed by international cancer research bodies. Some fall into what's classified as a confirmed human carcinogen, meaning the evidence is considered conclusive. Others are classified as probable carcinogens, meaning the evidence is strong but the picture isn't fully closed. I want to be upfront about that distinction throughout this video, because part of my job is not just to share information, but to help you understand exactly how solid that information is. Here's what makes this especially worth your attention. The people most affected by this usually aren't the ones eating poorly. They're the ones doing everything right on paper. Batch cooking lean proteins, eating their vegetables, boiling eggs for the week, having rice with dinner because it's simple and filling. These are smart, health-conscious habits, and that's exactly why this topic deserves 15 minutes of your time. To understand why reheating matters so much, you need a quick, simple picture of what happens to food chemically. When you cook something for the first time, heat does normal, expected work. Proteins reshape themselves, starches soften, fats melt and blend. Nothing alarming there. But once that food has cooled, sat in your fridge, and then gets heated again, a different set of reactions kicks in. First, there's oxidation. Fats and proteins that have already been exposed to air during storage become unstable. Heat them a second time, and those weakened molecules break down further into byproducts that are known to interact with DNA. Second, there's a reaction most people have actually heard of without knowing its dark side, the Maillard reaction, the same one responsible for the golden crust on bread or the sear on a steak. It's what gives food flavor and color. But when proteins and natural sugars are repeatedly exposed to high heat, they can also form what are called advanced glycation end products. You may have heard this term before in the context of aging skin or blood sugar control, because these compounds are also linked to chronic, low-grade inflammation, one of the biological threads connecting aging, heart disease, and cancer risk. And third, there's a nitrate to nitrite conversion. Certain foods naturally contain nitrates. When stored, bacteria can convert those nitrates into nitrites, and when reheated, those nitrites can transform further into nitrosamines, compounds that international health agencies have flagged as likely or confirmed carcinogens. Keep those three words in your mind as we go: oxidation, glycation, and nitrosamine formation. You'll see at least one of them show up in every food we cover. Let's start with the one nearly everyone has done this week: rice. It's the most consumed staple food on the planet, and leftover rice is a kitchen staple in almost every culture. The concern with rice, though, has very little to do with your microwave and everything to do with what happens between the first cooking and the second reheating. Raw rice can naturally carry a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. Cooking kills most of it, but as rice cools slowly on the counter or sits in the fridge, any surviving spores can multiply and release a heat-stable toxin. And here's the frustrating part. Reheating the rice may kill the bacteria itself, but it does nothing to the toxin they've already produced. That toxin has been shown in lab research to interfere with the energy-producing structures inside our cells. The mitochondria, and mitochondrial stress is one of the early biological events researchers associate with cells beginning to behave abnormally. On top of that, repeatedly heating starchy foods can encourage the formation of a compound called acrylamide, which forms when natural sugars react with a particular amino acid under high heat, and which has been classified as a probable human carcinogen. The fix here doesn't require giving up rice, just handling it with a little more care. Cook it fresh when you can. If you have leftovers, spread the rice out so it cools quickly, get it into the fridge within about an hour, eat it within a day, and avoid reheating the same batch more than once. Now let's talk about something almost every doctor, dietitian, and gym goer recommends without hesitation: chicken. It's the go-to lean protein for millions of people trying to eat well, especially those managing weight, blood sugar, or heart health. So it may be surprising to hear that reheating cooked chicken, particularly at high heat, can drive the formation of compounds called heterocyclic amines. These aren't a fringe topic in nutrition science. They're among the most studied dietary compounds linked to cancer risk, largely because once they're absorbed, the liver converts them into forms that can bind directly to DNA and potentially trigger mutations, including in the genes responsible for keeping cell growth in check. Research looking at people who regularly eat well-done or repeatedly reheated poultry has found associations with increased colorectal cancer risk, and some research has pointed toward links with pancreatic cancer as well, one of the more aggressive cancers we treat. Foods 3 and 4 are the ones that tend to catch people off guard, because they're both things most physicians actively encourage you to eat more of. If this kind of practical, evidence-grounded information is useful to you, this is exactly what Healthy Aging Insights is built around: one video each week, translating real research into things you can actually use, no supplements to sell, no fear for the sake of clicks. Just consider subscribing so future videos find you. Food number 3, leafy greens, especially spinach, along with celery, beets, and chard. These vegetables are nutritional powerhouses, rich in iron, folate, and antioxidants, and every cardiologist and oncologist I know recommends eating more of them. The problem isn't the vegetable, it's what happens to it after it's cooked and left to sit. Leafy greens are naturally high in nitrates, which are actually beneficial in their original form, supporting healthy blood pressure. But once cooked spinach sits in the refrigerator, naturally occurring bacteria begin converting those nitrates into nitrites, the same chemical shift that happens in cured meats, which is part of why processed meat itself has been classified as a confirmed carcinogen. Reheat that spinach after a day or more in the fridge, and you're applying heat to a vegetable that has already undergone significant nitrate to nitrite conversion, encouraging nitrosamine formation, compounds that research has consistently associated with higher rates of stomach, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. European food safety authorities have specifically flagged this exact pattern: cooking, storing, than reheating nitrate-rich vegetables as worth public attention. It's a genuinely frustrating irony. One of the healthiest foods available can become a source of concern purely because of a storage habit, not because of the vegetable itself. The solution is simple. Eat leafy greens fresh whenever you can, and if you have leftovers, eat them cold within a few hours rather than reheating them later. And now, food number 4, the one I promised would surprise you: eggs. Eggs are, by almost every nutritional measure, one of the most complete foods available. All 9 essential amino acids, choline for brain health, selenium, antioxidants that protect your eyes and your cells. There's nothing wrong with eggs, but reheating them, especially scrambled or hard-boiled eggs, creates a chemical issue that rarely gets discussed. Most of an egg's fat sits in the yolk, and when it's cooked the first time, that fat begins a normal, expected process of oxidation. Refrigerate the egg and reheat it later, though, and that oxidation accelerates, producing byproducts including what are called oxysterols, oxidized forms of cholesterol. Research reviews have described these compounds as having inflammatory and potentially genotoxic effects, meaning they may be capable of damaging the genetic material inside our cells, which is one of the foundational steps in how cancer can begin. There's also a secondary issue. High-heat reheating can degrade certain sulfur-containing amino acids in eggs, and some research suggests the breakdown products may contribute to oxidative stress in the lining of the digestive tract, a factor that's been proposed as one of several contributors to colorectal cancer, one of the most common cancers we see today. None of this means avoiding eggs. It means eating them fresh whenever possible. If you're prepping hard-boiled eggs for the week, keep the shells on and eat them cold. Skip the microwave for scrambled eggs or omelets, and if you do need to warm an egg dish, use gentle indirect heat rather than high direct heat. I want to be honest with you about something. When I first went through the research behind everything I've shared today, my reaction wasn't fear, it was frustration, because none of this is hidden. It's published, it's reviewed, it's referenced by major health agencies around the world, and yet it almost never makes it to the dinner table, especially not for the people who need it most. Parents packing lunches, adults living alone who rely on convenient reheated meals, people managing chronic conditions who are simply trying to eat well within a busy life. None of them are doing anything wrong. They just haven't had this information laid out clearly before. Now you have. So let's bring it together. 4 foods, 4 different mechanisms, one simple takeaway. How you handle leftovers matters as much as what's on your plate in the first place. Rice carries a bacterial toxin risk along with acrylamide formation. Chicken can develop heterocyclic amines through high-heat reheating. Leafy greens can undergo nitrate to nitrite to nitrosamine conversion during storage. And eggs can develop oxysterols and oxidative byproducts when reheated at high temperatures. 3 biochemical threads run through all of it: oxidation, glycation-related inflammation, and nitrosamine formation. Here's what I'd actually suggest doing with this, starting tonight. Cook rice fresh when you can, and if you store it, cool it quickly and eat it within a day. Enjoy leftover chicken cold in a salad or wrap when possible, and if you do reheat it, keep the temperature gentle rather than piping hot. Eat leafy greens fresh, or cold if they're leftover, rather than reheating them. Store hard-boiled eggs unpeeled and enjoy them cold. And in general, a simple kitchen thermometer can help you reheat gently rather than blasting food at high heat, which tends to accelerate all 3 of these reactions. Perhaps the single most useful habit, though, is simply cooking portions closer to what you'll actually eat in one sitting, so there's less need to reheat at all. Before I let you go, I'd genuinely like to know which of these 4 surprised you the most. The rice most of us reheat without a second thought? The chicken so many of us consider the gold standard of healthy eating? The spinach every doctor tells you to eat more of? Or the eggs? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and they genuinely shape what I cover in future videos. And if there's someone in your life who reheats leftovers every single day without a second thought, a parent, a sibling, a college student living on meal prep chicken and rice, take 10 seconds and send them this video, not to alarm them, just to give them the same information you have now so they can make their own informed choice. As always, a brief note. Everything in this video is meant for educational purposes, not as personal medical advice or a diagnosis. Nutrition science continues to evolve and guidance can shift as new research comes in, so please talk with your own physician or a registered dietitian before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you're managing an existing health condition. My goal with Healthy Aging Insights has always been the same: to take real, peer-reviewed research and make it usable in ordinary daily life, not to replace your doctor and not to make you afraid of food, but to help close the gap between what the science already knows and what actually reaches your kitchen. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Michael Chen, and I'll see you in the next one. B. Frorif RF E9 UFF Duff. Wage.